Hello everyone. Some of my students requested that we discuss on careers in finance in the post-pandemic era. Those who are graduating in 2021 should start preparing now. Those of you who have done MBA with specialization in finance or major in finance or MSc finance, BSc finance, economics or even BCom may find this useful. We should know where the jobs are in the current world. Every year, about 30 lakh students write multiple bank recruitment examinations in India. Only 0.5% of these candidates succeed. Now that the public sector banks have merged, the numbers of banks have come down and therefore employment opportunities also may come down. Nevertheless, it is interesting for us to know where could we find a position for ourselves. And to reach there, how do I reposition myself? What do the employers really want? So those are the points which I'd like to discuss with you today. Number one are bank jobs, particularly public sector banks led by State Bank of India, most popular, number of vacancies. Also in the private sector banks, the ICICI Bank and HDFC banks are leading banks. So they are domestic, systemically important banks. So they are very tall in the order of things. And to be working with them is prestigious. So try to find out if there are vacancies on their websites. Try to apply. And even public sector banks who route it through IBPS or the larger private sector banks, even the normal private sector banks, I think it would be very good to have a bank job. But remember, post-pandemic, specialist knowledge requirements may go up. Like for example, data management specialists, treasury and foreign exchange management, asset management. These are the areas the banks may look for. So try to build up a data bank on these areas which you think are important. Have some knowledge so that the employer sees in you potential to grow. The second largest component of job opportunities, I would feel, are the non-banking financial companies like Manappuram or Muthoot, who are NBFCs who are now undergoing good support on the liquidity front from there's been a pumping in of about 50,000 crores in more recent times. And further, they are gold collateralizing security loan givers. And therefore, problems of credit shocks will be less. Jobs are less paying than banks and maybe even more rigorous, but it is a great field to grow. The third area I would like to mention are stock brokerage houses. Stock markets have been doing, even if they are volatile, it's a zero-sum game. Some people make money, others lose money. But there is growth in the system. So try to understand and appreciate the volatility of the markets. And the more you watch it, the more interesting it will become. Stock brokerage houses like SBI Caps or other big ones like Geojit may be good avenues for jobs. Then we have mutual funds. A lot of share investors may be risk averse. They may like to invest in mutual funds because there is a lot of volatility now in the share markets. And therefore, the mutual fund component in the market will grow. Look out for jobs with them. Insurance companies, one of my favorites, I will deal with separately. Corporates are coming back after the pandemic shock. They are getting back to normalcy. There will be new jobs coming up as new companies come in or existing companies shake up. Freshers may be required because some companies, as a cost measure, may have revolving door policy that is taking fresh people who are less costly. So position yourself for corporate finance jobs. And in that category are public sector institutions also who may need finance executives. One area which many youngsters don't look for is microfinance institutions. There are a number of good companies that have come up. Many companies are large companies helping micro borrowers. They are supported by institutions, multilateral institutions globally. And they are stepping in to areas where banks cannot go in, taking loans from banks and then giving it at a higher rate, the spread being their incomes, and they're doing well. So try to get yourself into work positions with them, and that's a good area. Others include credit bureaus. There are 6 of them who are risk profiling customers with the Securities Exchange Board of India's permission. Try to get yourself to know how to risk profile and try to check their websites for jobs. Accounting firms, the big 4 like Ernst Young or KPMG or PWH and Deloitte Touche, all these accounting firms are high paymasters. And also look for other accounting firms where you can earn a little less but gain a lot more experience. Then you have business information services or outsourcing services or processing services, where a lot of Western countries sent their data for processing or finance data for backing up into India. Like World Bank, I believe, has its accounting in backup in Chennai. So try to get to know these newer areas and land jobs there. Research institutions, with your writing and communication skills good, research institutions are looking for creative writers, creative analysts in finance. Your knowledge of economics, which you have as a minor or a subject, then possibly will help you. One growth area which I see in 2021 is the medium and small scale enterprises. Government has helped them, government is helping them, and government will help them grow. So when you are doing that, try to position yourself into supporting this industry because job potential is high, though salaries may be a little lower than the big companies, but you could gain a lot of experience. There are asset management companies like people who buy out loans. These are not much known to finance students, but there are companies that collect loans, and you can be a collector of loans or maybe support them in asset management. Fintech startups are a great area. Fintech startups are a great area because startups are disruptors that have come through and they are beginning new. And that's the biggest change that's taking place. They are virtual and therefore we should look to position ourselves there so that you get a good return on your investments at a later date. Neobanks are not there in India, but just for your knowledge, these are virtual banks. I don't want to spend time because the Reserve Bank has not as yet permitted any neobank here. Then private wealth management. Many of the people are wealthy. The top wealthy people in India may be owning up to 10% of the gross domestic product of India. So they're very wealthy. These people need wealth managers. They need investment bankers. They need consultants who could tell them where to invest, how to invest, and what quantums to invest. So specialize yourself in wealth management. Personal financial planning is a good area to study on the sidelines of your main degree because a lot of people need financial advice. Look at public pension funds with the number of private sector going in for public pension funds, and even public sector organizations are not offering pensions but asking employees to join pension funds. This is a big investment area, and there will be growth. There will be new companies that come into India because the market potential is very high. Learn yourself the skills of doing it. I said I would mention about insurance. It's a very big area. Insurance thrives on insecurity in the minds of the customer. Life insurance, non-life insurance like fire, health, marine, motor and travel insurance. Particularly in the aftermath of the random shock of the pandemic, people are feeling very insecure. Health insurance should take up in a big way. Life insurance should take up in a big way. And therefore, companies in the insurance sector will grow. There is the general insurance company, there are there is Bajaj Insurance, there is Allianz. You could look out for jobs in these organizations. Skills needed are known to you, particularly MBA students will find it very easy. Customer relationship, product development, marketing, compliance. You know all these. So it should not be a problem for you to transit into insurance industry. Now, what are the positions you can look for in finance? In banks, many of you are a relationship manager destined. Then you have portfolio management, you have fund management, financial analysts, investment strategists, risk managers, where companies are or organizations are trying to de-risk themselves. Risk is the probability of loss, and nobody wants to make losses. So your specialism, if it is in risk management, you are much wanted. Banks pay some of the highest for chief risk officers. Of course, that takes a long time to reach, but then you can start somewhere in the risk management framework. Then there are performance analysts who are looking at performances of organizations or departments, auditors, performance auditors. So you could be an analyst there. And then consultancy, there is a lot of research into finance areas and also fundamental economic areas. Similarly, banks and other finance institutions want credit analysts. You could have a designation as financial advisor or wealth manager, and these are likely to be highly lucrative. I mentioned about financial technology causing what Schumpeter called creative destruction. Ring out old, ring in new, and that's happening. As a man of a few decades of experience in banking, I've always felt that the old order is completely changing. It's a new finance-based technology like blockchain, for example, that's coming through. Bitcoins are not so popular in India. That is virtual currency I'm referring to, are not so, but it will come through possibly. So new business models are emerging, and you need to be on the sidelines picking up threads of thought in these areas. Artificial intelligence tracking systems. Now, for those of you who have done engineering and done MBA, I think it's a fantastic combination because you can be a finance engineer very easily. Some of the biggest dealers, most successful dealers I know in foreign exchange are engineers because your logical thinking helps and you have abilities to really work out what is happening from the data angle. So artificial intelligence tracking systems have come to stay. Internet of Things brings in sensor related and connectivity based new financial global thinking. Try to be there, and that is going to help us. Now, what do employers actually want? What competency model will help me? You have the knowledge. You've done your commerce, you have done your economics, you have done your finance. So, therefore, you have the knowledge. But together with the knowledge, you need skills and abilities. So I will focus in the next two slides on the skills and abilities, next three slides on skills and abilities. One underlying theme which I'd like to mention is the need to recognize the combination of artificial intelligence blending with human intelligence. HI plus AI makes the world today. So employers seek both. Employers seek a T-shaped competence carrier. What do I mean? From my reading, I understand that employers need deep knowledge in one area or part of the ecosystem, which can be transmitted with a wider knowledge in other fields or other parts of the ecosystem, and that the employee has the competence to connect these various knowledge bases which he or she has. So we should look to be T-shaped, deep in one, wide, expansive knowledge, being able to move from one to the other. It's a network of competencies. For example, if you are good at foreign exchange, you should be automatically good in share market. You should automatically be good in bonds market, because the premises of buying and selling shares, stocks, bonds, or foreign exchange remains the same. So work yourself into T-shaped personnel. What are the skills you need? All of you know this. I will quickly go through. Analytic, database management. The ones which I have given in green, you already have it, particularly the MBA people, because you are doing HR. You have team management, leadership, empathy, relationship skills, communication skills. Analytic, the world, I will come to the analytic part in the last but one slide. Consultative and innovation skills are very important. Everything is a project today. Every bit of work we do is a project today. So try to be a consultant effectively in your workplace. Try to be innovative, doing something new, recommend something new. Now, these higher level skills are to be supported by what I feel are tier 2 skills. You must be able to develop products. For example, look at the State Bank of India website. The number of products they have developed on deposits, on advances, sector wise. So you'll have to go on innovating new products because there's big competition in the market. Be solution oriented in your skills. People don't want problem givers, they want problem solvers. Creativity must be always in you, because that's what keeps the competitive world lubricated, and you must. But one important thing, as a banker of several years and as an educator, I've always felt that the best bankers, the best finance people I have known are the most humble. They are aware of their limits, because you are risk limited by organizations. Organizations at interviews look for people whom they can manage effectively and who would listen and comply, because there is regulation. It's public trust money, somebody else's money, which finance is, and therefore we have to be very responsible. Marketing skills, it's a world of, you have to be marketing yourself if you want to be successful. What are the abilities that one should look at? One should have, rather. Situational reaction. The pandemic showed that there could be random occurrences. There could be cyclical fluctuations. There could be finance shortages. There could be marketing shortages. How do I react to it? When I have a working capital cycle flow problem, where do I look for? Those are very important. Adaptability to new environments. The organization is what you have learned in the schools and colleges are different from what is practiced out there. And therefore, you have to adapt to the new environment. It takes time, but organizations cannot wait for you. You have to wait for organizations. So connect across disciplines, get to know people. If you are working in an engineering company, you have to respect the engineers, get to know what they do, respect the accountants, because finance is one portion of the entire organization. So you'll have to understand and appreciate diverse perspectives. You have to leverage on your own knowledge as a team. Build a network of contacts. That is, today's global organizations or even local organizations are coalitions. And outside the organizations, you need support systems, positively, network of contacts positively, to knowledge, to increase knowledge, to have greater understanding of the system, and be system savvy. Because today is a system driven world, systems and procedures matter. Understand the macro picture. We might be working in small organizations, it doesn't matter. You can understand the larger frame because the micro multiplied into several micros make the macro. But we must know the macro framework picture, even if we are working in a micro organization. As I told you earlier, the world has become data led. There is a change towards data analytics in business. Know this: quantitative analysis, data driven insights, predictive, both descriptive and predictive models become important. So be analytics based. In credit analysis, you'll have to mitigate credit risks. You'll have to develop risk scorecards. And that is very important if you are going to be into finance. It's become an analytical world. Data everybody has. How do I interpret the data? I can interpret the data only if I have analytical skills. So that's the biggest support skill which you should have to reposition yourself. Those students whom I know who have done well in finance are those who know decision trees, logistic, regression, patterning, know analytic tools like R, which is a freely available software on the websites, R Studio, SAS, Python. These are things which you should pick up. Some of them are free, some of them you may have to accumulate, and that is important. Finally, I'd like to tell you that we'll have to reset to a new mindset. Number one, de-risk yourself. It's a risky world. How can I de-risk myself? By rebuilding myself. I can de-risk by rebuilding myself to be an intelligent. Organizations have to turn intelligent. And organizations are composed of individuals like you and me. So unless I am intelligent, the organization cannot be intelligent. What do I mean by intelligent? Hardworking people who are smart, who are able to come out with innovative solutions in a competitive world. So agility matters. If there is a shock, how do I get out of it? How soon do I get out of it? Agility matters. Survival, remember, if you are the batch of 2021, you are passing out in 21. Remember right now for you and me, survival alone matters. Thriving is secondary. There is a big storm out there, and we need to survive this storm. Those who have skills, those who are able to withstand this storm, are those who are confident of themselves and their skills. Because it's a minimal world. When I say minimalism, what do I mean? The pandemic has thrust on us what I call a cost frugality. Organizations have to cut corners. They are going to send out the older people and take the younger people because costs are less. There is a revolving door policy, I always told you. And therefore, try to be with good skills so that you are positioning yourself as value for money. And that minimalism of costs, the minimalism of, say, for example, work from home, all of these are going to be trendsetters. Build your minds around it. Finally, as I always emphasize, be digital. Whether it is basics, BCom students always learn Tally. Others have to pick up because some accounting knowledge is better. Get MS Excel Advanced, get MS Project, and then gradually move on to higher R or Python or SPSS. You know You have picked up many in your project days. Build on them. I wish you all the best. I'm sure that you'll do very well. Should you have any further queries on your career, to the extent I can help, in the lower boxes, I've given my email. I will give my email and write to me. Thank you so much.